about the AFLW Eve. Season 7 is upon us, if you can believe it. Just 137 days ago, we crowned the Adelaide Crows as premiers of Season 6, but already another season is upon us, and you're watching the W Show thanks to NAB. It's great to have your company, Nat Edwards, with you, and along for the ride, Sarah Black and Melbourne defender Libby Birch. Sarah, welcome to you.
Thanks for having me back, Nat. You know, there's Christmas Eve, there's the eve of Christmas Eve, and there's AFLW Eve. They're the big three.
I think AFLW Eve is the best one indeed, as I welcome in Libby Birch. Libby, it's great to see you. I mean, 4 months have passed since the season ended, and here we are. It's crazy. What's been happening?
Oh, God, so much, Nat. A full another 7th pre-season that some of us have completed, so really exciting times.
Oh, there is so much to get through on this week's episode of the W Show. So let's get started with what's been making news thanks to NAB. And it's been a very, very big week as we count down to the first round of AFLW for Season 7. And one of the big talking points, Lib, has been round 2, your clash against the Kangaroos. That's been moved to the MCG. How'd you wrangle that one?
Oh, it's super exciting. We've obviously had a practice match in the last couple of weeks there, and just to be able to have a double header, I think we're going to see more of that with the season start date being in August, and I think it just brings so many more fans to the game, and pretty exciting to have both Melbourne teams playing on the same night.
Yeah, super exciting. Obviously, for fans, you have to buy a ticket to the men's final in order to attend that AFLW game. Sarah, that's created a little bit of chatter on the socials, hasn't it? Especially amongst Roos fans.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a source of discussion. You know, the AFLW, we love our $10 entry, you know, really attractive for everyone to get involved. And I think North Melbourne, there's also the contributing factor that they've got some games in Tassie. So, you know, this sort of limits the amount of Melbourne accessible games for some of the Roos fans.
Now, big talking point as well this week is your top 30. Sarah Black's top 30. I reckon all the players are in there every day. They're looking to see if they've made it. And your number 1 was unveiled today. Just talk us through how difficult it is to do your top 30.
Love doing 2 top 30s in a year. Perfect. I think I got back from holidays, Nat, and you were like, I'm sorry, Sarah, I need it. I need it now.
I need it today.
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, when you get to the pointy end, you know, Emily Bates, I think she's a pretty worthy number 1. The criteria, as always, is based on the previous year's form. So, yeah, does it create any chat, Lib?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I noticed I wasn't in the top 30. So.
I was waiting for that.
Sorry, where was she? She was 31, obviously, naturally, just outside,
yeah,
surely.
Definitely. No, honestly, Lib, honestly, cusp.
Okay, thanks.
I saw her full list of about 60 and I said, you can't do a top 60, Sarah. It's got to be 30. You've got to cut it down. It is a tough job. Well done to you. You can catch Sarah's top 30, of course, on women's.afl and the AFLW Live app. But we should talk about, I guess, what really is the dawning of a new era of AFLW. The competition finally whole. We've got 18 teams. And speaking of moving that game to the MCG, there is a game at Marvel Stadium to kick things off for round 1 between Essendon and Hawthorn, the traditional rivals, but 2 expansion sides as well. Libby, I want to start with you. What are the expectations from Essendon? They've got some big name recruits.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Essendon's actually a really well-structured expansion side. They've got some really great talent, particularly through their midfield. You've got Maddie Pasparkas, Georgia G, who can swing up forward as well. You've got Jordan Sanchetta in that mix as well. And also up forward, you got Bonnie Toogood and Frederica Frew, who was in amazing form come the VFL Grand Final for Essendon. So I just think they've got a really good skeleton list. And then beyond that, they've got some great young players.
That practice match, Sarah, they played against Port Adelaide, we're seeing some of that vision now. It's a really physical game. They came from behind. I think Port rested a few of their more senior players or experienced players in that second half. But Bonnie Toogood in particular, 3 goals. She looked very, very good up forward.
I think leadership suits Bonnie. I think it's something that she'll really embrace and, you know, and really try to be the spearhead of this group. Steph Kane, of course, is the other co-captain there. She looks like she's in really good touch. The one asterisk I've got on the Bombers at the moment, and obviously brand new side, so, you know, you've still got plenty of time up your sleeve, but the back line just does look a little bit shaky when you compare it to the midfield and the forward line, as you said, which is stacked. Yeah. So if the Bombers manage to get, you know, a few clearances out of the middle, they'll be fine.
So they face Hawthorn on Saturday night in round 1, Marvel Stadium. Just what are your thoughts on Hawthorn, Sarah? Because it's a different list build that they've gone about.
Yeah, it is a different list, Bill. The Hawks, they tried really hard to land that big marquee player. Emily Bates was really the one that they were after, and she chose to stay at the Lions. So the Hawks consequently look towards the draft. So long term, the Hawks are going to be in a really good spot. You know, they've got a lot of really high quality draftees on their list. It's going to be difficult early days, I think. They've brought in some really nice ball movers, Eileen Gilroy and Caitlin Ashmore from the Roos, of course, Jess Stuffen as well, Sarah Perkins up forward. So they do have the bones there, but I think it's going to be a pretty tough season for the Hawks.
And we look at Port Adelaide, and they obviously snared the biggest name going around in Erin Phillips, which was no surprise. But how do you see the rest of their list shaping up?
I thought it was a very smart list build under Lauren Arnell. Great to see also our first AFLW player graduate into the coaching ranks. But the players that I'm most interested in at the Power are not your Erin Phillips and your Gemma Houghton. It's the State League players who they've brought up. So Abby Dowrick, Jade DeMello, Jade Halfpenny, Tess DeMarnis, Abby Ballard, Abby Ballard and Julia Teakle as well. Those girls really caught my eye in the practice match, and I think that that tier, it will hold them in good stead.
And just to round out the expansion sides, the Sydney Swans, they obviously snared the #1 draft pick in Montana Ham. But how do you think they're going to go, Libby? What are the expectations, do you think, around the Swans?
Well, I think they obviously had a few players come across from GWS as well, Beck Privitality. And then from Victoria, they also had Brooke Lachlan. So I think they've got a bit of a mix of experience. Brenda Tarrant has also come from Melbourne, and she's going to be quite strong down back, I think, for them. So, again, I think they've got that good skeleton list, and we know that New South Wales, unlike Adelaide, probably don't have the depth in their draft pool, and hence why they've looked from Victoria and other states for their selections. But I think Sydney will be a good side. I just think they'll drop off later in games, but it remains to be seen.
Oh, I'm very excited to see how the 4 expansion sides go. So let's take a look at round 1 and what is on offer. A blockbuster start to the season. As you can see there, the traditional opener between Carlton and Collingwood is back in place tomorrow night. That's the big one. The Bulldogs actually hosting a home game at Icon Park, and that is because the Whitten Oval is under redevelopment. But there is none bigger when we talk about the big games. In the grand final rematch, it's Friday night. I cannot wait, Libby. It's a chance for redemption of sorts, and that's where our deep dive leads us to this week on the W Show. I mean, last time we spoke, you hadn't watched the grand final back as a team. Has that changed? Yeah, well, it was actually funny that you bring that up. The leaders and a bit of an extended group of players last night at training watched about 10 minutes of the grand final together, and that was sort of the first time that we'd sat down together and watched it, and I guess digested a little bit on, you know, that certain moment in the game, and I think it was the first 10 minutes actually that we went through. So it was nice. It was kind of a way to look at it and go, okay, where have we come from our entire pre-season, and what do we want to expect from ourselves come Friday night? Was there a reason in particular that the more senior players in the leadership group were the ones that watched that piece of vision? Yeah, well, I think the leaders are obviously the players that can change it on game day if things are looking not the way that we want it to look. And also it just enables our younger players to have more of a process-driven approach on their own roles and their own game, whereas the leaders can really bring in our game style and help them on game day. Sarah, when you look at this match-up and these two sides going head-to-head, the Crows obviously lose Erin Phillips and Justine Mules. Can they cover those losses? Like, how do you see the Crows?
Yeah, they're interesting, Adelaide. They're obviously, you know, such a mighty team and have been for quite some time. Erin's role has changed over the last couple of years. You know, most recently she's sort of been in the midfield for the centre bounces and then pushes forward. Sort of, if you're looking for a men's equivalent, that Dusty Martin sort of role. And I think it'll need a multifaceted approach to cover her as a consequence. So I expect Eloise Jones to spend, you know, a bit more time in attack on the inside rather than we're so used to seeing her on the wing, but I think she's got that inside game to go to a new level. And the acquisition of Neve Kelly, I think, is going to be really important because then she'll move into that winger role. Lisa Whiteley will be the one who's going to have to go up and be a really strong contested player in attack, Lib, and I'm sure you're going to be seeing her on Friday night.
That'll be fun for you. Yeah. Just on in Melbourne. Obviously, you managed to retain the majority of your list, really. I mean, unfortunate with Eliza McNamara, who's an important part of that side with her injury, not being able to play. But where is the improvement coming from for the Demons in Season 7? And what do you need to do to take that next step and be holding up that cup at the end of the season?
Yeah, well, I think we've needed a bit of a winning edge and a bit of ruthlessness to us, and we've done that throughout this pre-season. I've said this a few times to people that I've never been so challenged in a pre-season in terms of wanting to win each contest at training, let alone not in a game, just in a training drill. Like, it was just so competitive, and I think that's the next level for us to be able to perform under the most amount of pressure, but have as many girls as we can executing roles, whereas the last couple of seasons we've seen, you know, a gradual progression of our team being able to perform in the highest of moments, but we haven't had everyone, so that's where we're aiming for.
Now, this one's not for you, Libby, but for our AFLW fans out there who want to get a behind-the-scenes exclusive look at last season's grand final, Sound the Alarm is up on our website and AFL On Demand right now. The coaches were mic'd up on grand final day. Let's take a little sneak peek.
Put yourself on show. That's what we're going to do today. Show the whole bloody world how good you are, because you're pretty bloody good.
We're going to work from start to finish and create as many of those linked moments, clear opportunities to the best that we can.
It's time to go to work. Let's finish this job. One in all, yeah?
Enjoy it out there, put a smile on your face, let's soak this up.
Be the one who starts us off. Be the one who sticks that first tackle.
The two winningest teams in AFLW history. One's got 2 cups, the other nothing but years of frustration. 4 quarters to confirm a dynasty. In swoops Phillips.
Cool goes wide, but picking it up. It's Bennett.
Come on, Bennett!
When they win the ball, we can run. When we win the ball, we run.
Are we up for this? This is 100% what we signed up for.
Takes a bounce forward. Can she seal it?
Forevermore, when they talk about AFLW, they'll say, what the hell was going on with those Adelaide Crows?
Sound the Alarm must watch. It's on AFL On Demand as well as women's.afl and the AFLW app. Now, speaking of things that are must watch, I want to know from each of you who is a watch this season, a club I'm talking about. Sarah, is there one club that you've got a close eye on?
I'm really interested in what Fremantle do this year. They've had quite a significant list turnover. We haven't necessarily seen that in the past from the Dockers. And compounding that, they have a number of players unavailable because of injury. Now, Nikki Gore's on that list. She's a test this week for concussion,
Okay.
so she might be right. Ebony Antonio coupled with Gemma Houghton. That's the killer. So Ebony's your match winner. The amount
How
of
do they
games,
score?
exactly, the amount of games she dragged Fremantle over the line last season, with Gemma Houghton, of course, going to the power. I expect Anya Ty to spend a lot more time in attack. Amy Franklin's a young, developing key forward, but she's only 19, 20, so, you know, I think things are going to be pretty tough for the Dockers.
What about you, Lib? Who is your watch?
Oh, I'm actually really interested in the first round, looking at Geelong and Richmond. I think those two teams they're on the cusp of something great, honestly. And Richmond, we saw some really great signs from them in Season 6. They were just really battling injuries, Sarah, as you know. And then Geelong, they've got some handy recruits from Melbourne. I just think they're really starting to establish their side and their structure and how they want to play the game. So I think that match is going to be really critical to how they shape their seasons.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm really intrigued to see how Geelong go and where that improvement comes from in Season 7. We've got some great milestones this week. Obviously, Lib, you're part of the 50-game club, but these are some of the other players who are going to be joining the 50-game club. And Taylor Harris, one of your teammates, notches up game 50, which is amazing, isn't it?
Oh, it's super exciting. It's special for every player that gets to 50 games, knowing that a lot of these players have played from year one. Or you've had to have played from year one to reach the 50 at this point in time. And just to see those names, Emma Carney, got a premiership to her name, captain of Kangaroos, it's very special, and they've all had really respectable journeys.
And some of those players changing clubs too, Sarah, but Darcy Vesio, they have stayed at the Blues, haven't they, the whole time?
Yes, Darcy has been the constant at Carlton. And they'll have a new teammate up there in Phoebe McWilliams, who I think is fast approaching the 50-game milestone herself. So that'll be a new dimension to Carlton's forward line.
Yeah, congratulations to all of the players reaching that fabulous milestone this weekend. It is, though, time to take a look at what has been making news on social media. And we know that Sarah Rowe, she's such a prankster. Check this out. She's got a parking fine. What's she doing? Oh, she's just going to run across the road to her teammate, Bree Davies' car, and leave it on her car. Poor Bree actually thought that she got a parking fine.
And I think there's also a bit of a running gag on Sarah's socials that she does accumulate parking fines.
Ridiculous. Now, what about this one, Sarah? Well, tell me, what is going on here?
So Bulldogs recruit Millie Brown and star key forward Nell Morris-Dalton. Just, you know, it's game week. Let's get the mood up at the Dogs.
I like it. A bit of... Okay, this would be my worst nightmare. I am so scared of birds. If there was a bird inside my house, I wouldn't even be filming on a camera. I don't know what is going on there. I think that's the Brisbane Lions girls who have been taken over. And this is someone you might recognise. Is this your dog, Cooper, Libby, on tour over the off-season? What is going on with Cooper?
Yeah, Cooper loves the water sports. He's a best little dog and, a girl's best friend.
He's just he's living the best life though. You're doing all the work. You're paddling. He's just along for the ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of Cooper, because we absolutely love him, thanks to our friends at Doggone Gorgeous, we've got a little gift for you here. $250 worth of goodies from the #1 grooming and pet apparel brand in pet stock, Doggone Gorgeous. They absolutely love animals and they are a valued NAB business partner.
Well, so Coops is going to be very happy.
That's a little something for you and Cooper. Oh, we absolutely love it. All right, crystal ball predictions, Sarah. This is where you put yourself on the line on women's.afl. You've done yours, which everyone can check out online now, but Libby and I have thrown our hat in the ring as well. Funny, sitting next to Libby, that we've all chosen Melbourne to be premier. There was no pressure put on us at all. Best and fairest, Nina Morrison. That's an interesting one from you. I like it though.
Look, it's based off pre-season. Her pre-season's been excellent. Her practice match form's been great, and I think the addition of Michaela Bowen into that midfield is going to free Nina up a little bit.
So those are our Season 7 predictions. I've got Bonnie Toogood down for 2 of those predictions. I swear she is
Got to
part
look
of the
outside
W
our
show.
own family.
I know. But
How can you go past as Erin Phillips' best recruit, though?
you know what? When I did my predictions, I totally forgot about Erin Phillips. I feel like she's been at Port Adelaide the whole time.
I've got you back. I've got you back.
You're just sucking up because you have to play on her next time. Now, just looking forward before we wrap up to this weekend, I know you're looking forward to that Geelong and Richmond game. I am looking forward to the season opener, Carlton and Collingwood. Just curiously, how Carlton are actually going to go because they've had so much change to their list.
Yeah, it is going to be hard for Carlton because they've had just so much talent leave their side, particularly through that midfield. And we played them in the practice match, but I just think it's going to take some time for them to redevelop their DNA. Because I almost feel like Maddie Prasparkas, Georgia G, those quick players have gone. So it'll take some time for that structure to grow again.
And Lucy McAvoy obviously missing for a little bit too. Sarah, what are you looking forward to in round 1?
I'm really interested to see how the Dogs and the Giants stack up against each other. They played it was a 1-point win to the Giants in the practice match a couple of weeks ago, and the Giants will be missing Beck Beeson indefinitely with concussion and Nick Barr for a couple of weeks with a knee injury. So that does even things up, I think, under new coach Cam Bernasconi there.
Yeah, of course, and a new coach, as you mentioned. Looking forward to seeing how those matches unfold this weekend. Don't forget to get your tickets. Head to women's.afl and the AFLW live app, of course, and show your support in round 1 and throughout the rest of the season. That is all we have time for on the W Show this week. Libby, best of luck Friday night. Can't wait.
Thanks, Nat.
Sarah, we'll see you at the footy. Thanks to everyone for watching the W Show. Thanks to NAB. It's great to have your company back again. We'll be back again next week with another edition. Until then, enjoy the footy.